in this practice we're going to look at the consonant R when it is intersected or written through a consonant to represent the word require or derivatives of that word. R is the same in the PITMAN system of shorthand as it is in Teeline, and in the PITMAN system of shorthand this is where it comes from. PITMAN have always used an intersected R for require and all derivatives of that word. If we have requires, we add an S on the end. If it's requirements, we add an S on the end, but it's still just the simple R intersection. Let me demonstrate with some simple sentences. So sentence 1. I will require a signature on the form. So see how I have written the R intersected through the L of will. So I write I will and then put the R through for require and then continue with the sentence a signature on the form. Form, of course, FM blend because it's a special outline. Sentence 2. The wearing of seat belts is required by law. Now here we've still used the R intersection. It is incidentally a little bit more difficult through a small outline such as is because we've only got an indicator rather than a full consonant to write it through, but it's still possible. However, we've still used that same R, but this time it doesn't say require, it says required. We don't need the D because the sentence will tell us what the context is. So that would not make sense to say the wearing of seat belts is require by law. It wouldn't make grammatically good sense. So we know it's required, but we still only need that R. Sentence 3. Shorthand requires a lot of practice. Now this time I've changed it to requires with an S on the end, so I've put an S on the end of the intersected R. Incidentally, with shorthand, I've just put the big S for SH and put the H sloping the way the indicator A goes for shorthand, just the same as we do with the word grouping on the other hand, where the H is sloped for the A in hand. Next one. Her vehicle was blocked by another vehicle and would require a lot of manoeuvring before she could leave. Now that's a longer sentence, so more difficult to keep up, but it still says the root word now, require. So and chop the wood for wood and the R through the wood this time, and would require. Slightly shorter sentence now. Ready? To be proficient in a language requires a great deal of time. So there's another example of requires with the S on the end. The word proficient, I've shown you two ways of writing it, one using the PR blend and one where we're including the R. Penultimate sentence, ready? I understand that your requirements are very few. Now compare that to the previous sentence. We've still got an intersected R with an S on the end. Instead of language requires, we've got that your requirements. No need for the meant, because it couldn't say I understand that your requires are very few. Again, not grammatically good sense, so the context of the sentence will tell you which derivative you have used. And the final sentence, we will require evidence of your claims at all times. So we started with the basic word require in I will require. We've ended with the basic word require in we will require. But please note there's a massive difference there between the sharp I and the longer curved W. And yet confusing I and we in transcription is one of the most common ways a student loses a mark in an exam. Evidence, of course, is a special outline, that V under the line, and we finish with that lovely little phrase, at all times. Keep the special outline at close to the A of all, and then the M underneath for times. Now let's do these sentences to speed. We're going to start with a 60. So the first one is just 8 words. So 8 seconds at 60. Ready? I will require a signature on the form. Sentence 2, also 8 words, 8 seconds. Ready? The wearing of seat belts is required by law. Sentence 3, 6 words this time, 6 seconds. Ready? Shorthand requires a lot of practice. Now, the next sentence is 18 words, so 18 seconds at 60. Ready? Her vehicle was blocked by another vehicle and would require a lot of manoeuvring before she could leave. Next sentence. Ready? To be proficient in a language requires a great deal of time. And that one was 12 words, 12 seconds. Penultimate sentence at 60, 8 words. Ready? I understand that your requirements are very few. And the final sentence is 10 words. Ready? We will require evidence of your claims at all times. We're going to make it a little bit more difficult now, and we're going to do the first 4 sentences, which is 40 words in total, one after the other at 60. Ready? I will require a signature on the form. The wearing of seat belts is required by law. Shorthand requires a lot of practice. Her vehicle was blocked by another vehicle and would require a lot of manoeuvring before she could leave. Now let's challenge ourselves a little bit more and see if we can do those 40 words, those same 40 words, half a minute at 80. Ready? I will require a signature on the form. The wearing of seatbelts is required by law. Shorthand requires a lot of practice. Her vehicle was blocked by another vehicle and would require a lot of manoeuvring before she could leave. Let's challenge ourselves a little bit more, and we're going to add one more sentence, the 12-word sentence, to the end of that, making 52 words altogether. This would be nicely just half a minute and 1 second at 100 words per minute. If you feel that challenge is too great, trace your 80 and come in just for the last sentence. Ready? I will require a signature on the form. The wearing of seat belts is required by law. Shorthand requires a lot of practice. Her vehicle was blocked by another vehicle and would require a lot of manoeuvring before she could leave. To be proficient in a language requires a great deal of time. Okay, I think you can guess what's coming next. We're going to add the next 8-word sentence. That's going to take our word count up to 60, and that is exactly half a minute at 120. So the options are the same. Trace what you've got, either from the 80 or if you've taken the 100, from the 100, and then come in for that last sentence. Ready? I will require a signature on the form. The wearing of seat belts is required by law. Shorthand requires a lot of practice. Her vehicle was blocked by another vehicle and would require a lot of manoeuvring before she could leave. To be proficient in a language requires a great deal of time. I understand that your requirements are very few. And you definitely know the drill now. There's one more 10-word sentence left. That's going to take our word count up to 70. And you know that's exactly half a minute at 140. We've done these sentences a few times now. Shape up. Let's give it our all. Ready? I will require a signature on the form. The wearing of seat belts is required by law. Shorthand requires a lot of practice. Her vehicle was blocked by another vehicle and would require a lot of manoeuvring before she could leave. To be proficient in a language requires a great deal of time. I understand that your requirements are very few. We will require evidence of your claims at all times. That was a real challenge. Please congratulate yourself for everything that you've done. Don't worry too much about what you haven't done. You have learned how to use an R intersection for require and derivatives of that word. That was our aim, that was our goal, and you have achieved it. If you've managed to get a speed out of your own comfort zone, that's brilliant. If you haven't, it doesn't matter. All practice is good practice. Let's love Teeline together.